I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello Horror Hounds, welcome to my horror house. It's a bit of retro gaming fun for us this week because I revisited a board game from my childhood. It's Waddingtons Game of Dracula. It's a game for 2 to 4 players, and let me explain what the game is about in the words of the instructions that come with it. Sheltering for the night in this ruined castle, you are horrified to find that this is in fact Castle Dracula, the lair of the bloodthirsty Count Dracula and his pet vampires. The sun is about to set and Dracula is beginning his nightly prowls. Your only hope is to escape from the castle as quickly as possible through one of the doorways marked home. To do this, you will move along the yellow stone pathways by throwing the dice. At all times, you will try to keep out of the way of the diabolical Count Dracula and his marauding vampires. If at any time you find yourself in the same room as Dracula, then you will be bitten by Dracula with serious results. The first player to escape from the castle is the winner. So you as players must maneuver around the castle on the yellow flagstones, and Dracula is constantly moving around his little trail of blood spots around the castle himself. You throw a couple of dice each player. One is how many moves Dracula makes and the other is how many moves you make. You've got little orange hidey hole squares, which means that even if you end up in the same room as Dracula, you're safe from him. And occasionally your die will come up V, which means that you move one of the vampires, and you can move the blue vampire guards either exit, vampire perch 5 and 6. So at any time there is only one viable exit, and the green vampire moves around the remaining perches within the castle, and you can't move past those vampires. They block you. If you end up in the same room as Dracula, he enfolds you in his cloak, drags you back to his tomb, bites you, and you essentially now become the green vampire. So there are a couple of levels of gameplay. It's fun enough with 2 players. It's more fun with 4, because if you are unfortunate enough to be captured by Dracula and turned into the green vampire, first of all, you need to don the green vampire mask to denote that you are now a vampire. And then your gameplay significantly changes. You still roll both die, but you add both of the totals together, and this is your total number of moves. You are now chasing your fellow colleagues in an attempt to catch them and turn them into the green vampire and run away. So the more players there are more chances for whoever is the vampire at any given time to radically change, alter the gameplay and the flow of the game all the time. The vampires are moving from perch to perch. If you're the green vampire and someone rolls a V die, you instantly have to move to a perch. But you can spend so much time keeping an eye on where the green vampire is and how to move away from them. A little bit like the crocodile in Peter Pan constantly stalking Captain Hook. Inexorably, Dracula is always making his rounds of the castle, and you can sometimes screw over your friends by veering him off in one direction, sending him deeper into the castle rather than around the outskirts towards your friends. If they're captured, he drags them back to the tomb again, and they start from the starting point as far away from home as possible. It's a really fun game. There's a certain amount of skill involved. There's an awful lot of the element of chance involved. So if you like your games to be ones where you can figure out a strategy and try and employ it, this will be mainly frustrating for you. You're going to have to roll with the punches with this one. The fickle finger of fate will decide who can leave Castle Dracula and who will forever remain within the walls. We've played games of this whereby we're moving towards the exit, getting closer and closer, and then just the roll of the die, and all of a sudden that exit is blocked off now by the blue vampire, and you have to completely change your game plan and move around. There are ways of avoiding the green vampire if one is after you. Some of the squares show candelabra, and the green vampire can't cross the light shed by the candles. The players have limitations as well. They can't move through vampires who are sat on a perch, and they can't land on the perch squares. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's for ages 7 and up, so for people like me, it's a bit of nostalgic fun and a bit of silly fun, but it was a great trip down memory lane for a game I used to love playing as a kid.